MVP, minimum viable product. You may not know it, but you're probably not using the term correctly. Let's talk about it. Welcome to It's Monday. What's Jonathan thinking? Hello, everyone, and welcome back for another episode of It's Monday. What's Jonathan thinking? As you can tell from the introduction, I have been thinking a lot about MVP. No, not most valuable player. What I'm talking about is the agile concept of minimum viable product. Recently, I read an article on this topic by Ash Maurya, the founder and CEO of LeanStack. He titled his article, "Don't Start with an MVP." Mr. Maurya's firm focuses on helping startups grow through their pipelines and create more successful startups. And while Mr. Ash focuses mainly on startups, I think the theme of this particular article can actually apply to really any organization, from startup to growth, growth to stable state. Of the terms that has become perhaps the most denigrated in my experience, I would argue that the usage of MVP in modern day business speak no longer remotely resembles its original intent. To be clear, here is the definition of minimum viable product. The MVP is the smallest solution you can build that delivers monetizable value to your customers. MVP has certainly become the most popular way to fund projects and to manage the risk of large-scale product development. In a nutshell, the idea is to establish the most basic foundation of a product that delivers some element of business value, but doesn't require hiring an army of developers and taking on a whole bunch of scope and building the entire thing. The concept of aligning on MVP is rooted in that foundational theory that building products over small incremental experiments yields a much more successful product with higher ultimate adoption and also contributes to higher business value. But the problem with using MVP as a method of establishing the definition of what you're going to deliver is that sometimes it doesn't involve a conversation, or at least conversations with the right people. Last week, you heard me harp on how important collaboration with our customers is. If you ever catch yourself setting the definition of MVP without your users in the room, you're setting yourself and your team up for some disappointment downstream. A process that doesn't have the customer at the center of everything you think about and do is a process that will ultimately fail to meet customer expectations, build customer delight, and most importantly, deliver business value. And this is why MVP is fast becoming the new four-letter word amongst business teams that are being told that IT is delivering the MVP version of a product. MVP for whom? Far too often, IT is using MVP as a way of justifying to the business what they're not getting. Oh, that product, it's not whole. We're just delivering the MVP. Again, if the MVP produces no value, I would argue you might have achieved only part of the definition of the term MVP. And this is what is creating friction. IT organizations have limited budgets, business groups have unlimited imaginations, and we need a middle of the road term that allows us to deliver something, but yet doesn't boil the entire ocean with tons of scope and features and cost. And I think in general, the business is on board with this concept. But again, the definition of what is MVP has to be a conversation, and not every project should start with an MVP definition. Sometimes it needs to start with experimentation or prototyping. Maurya writes, think of it this way. Starting with a solution is like building a key without a door. Sure, you could build a great-looking key quickly, but then you spend the rest of the time searching for the right doors to open it with. You might get lucky or brute force your way in, but where you end up is usually not where you expected to be. And if you simply flip this around and start with doors or problems worth solving, then key building becomes a lot easier, and you start building keys to doors that actually take you places. So what is an organization to do? You're never going to get all the funding you need to build the entire product. But if you don't show something of value, you'll never get that funding either. So how do you navigate through this quandary? Magdalena Britch of SBO Software offers her thought on this, and I quite agree with her opinion. It's a list of 7 things. Number 1, avoid the need or feeling that you need to create the entire product. An MVP is not supposed to be the final product. It's supposed to be the most important features of a product that enable it to deliver value. So build with that in mind. Number two, in contrast to that, temper your need for minimalism. The pitfall some teams fall into is that in their effort to streamline and move quickly, they deprioritize constantly. Well, tread carefully in this process and avoid discarding the features that will actually add the most value. Number three, listen to market research. You could even call this limit that room that your own hubris or bias have in defining the MVP definition. This solution or this project is not about you, so don't make it so. We're all here to create customer delight and build enterprise value, so do that. Number four, don't underestimate the value of prototyping or having a prototyping phase. MVP works best when it is the end result of multiple successful experiments. The definition of MVP evolves as a team understands more fully how value is created. So don't short circuit the process. Number five, choose the right partner. This might seem self-serving. Okay, it is. I'm very biased on who is the right partner, but I'm also humble enough to recognize when I'm not the right partner. We are not experts at everything, so choose wisely and assemble the right team for you and for the solution you're building. Number six, choose the right development method. Agile's all the vogue right now, but you know what? It's not a panacea. It fits for some things, and for others, a different development approach might be more fitting. Choose the method that is right for your team and for the project. And finally, leave room for the voice of the customer. Everything we do has to be because someone will benefit from what we are building. If you can't answer that question, it might be that the next best move for you is to take a pause and make sure that your solution is going to work for the people who have to use it. The best way to figure this out, you guessed it, is to have a conversation. Ask your customer, what do they want? How are they going to use it? You know, years of program and project management have taught me that there's no one way to attempt to build something great. So these are just some ideas. MVP is a fabulous method. I encourage you to take a look at this list and make it your own. And I would love to hear from you as to what is working in your organizations, how you're using MVP as a concept, and what success you're having with it. So please put your comments down below. Let's have a great conversation about this topic. And most importantly, make it a great week. I hope you have an awesome week, and I will see you next week on It's Monday. What's Jonathan thinking?